They were better. Just that simple. We obviously didn't make the right adjustments, and they had the upper hand this one.
And when you get your opportunities against, especially, teams that have more consistent pitching, and way easier said than done. I'm not sitting here saying it's easy, but we can't alibi it either. We got to figure out a way to continue to take those good at bats, and sometimes we still do that, and you don't get rewarded. And a couple of times that happened in the series too. So it's a combination of things. But there's no concern on my part at all.
Do you have your hand wrapped? Anything going on with your?
Yeah, just got a blister. Yeah, nasty blister. Yeah, I'm good.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Marty Time TV. I am Marty Caswell. We are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. Please excuse me if I'm extra frazzled today. I was having everything was great, flawless, right? It was prepared. Then every possible tech issue. Then I had phone calls with my insurance company, landlord issues. Tech people are coming over to my place today. It was just absolute complete disaster. So in some ways, I kind of fit in with the Padres because nothing went right their weekend. But let me go ahead and introduce my guest first, as it's become, he doesn't realize it, it's become a bit of a tradition, but Jake Garegnani from local CBS Sports joining me today on Marty Time TV. Jake, how are you?
It's my favorite tradition that I have in my entire life right now, Marty, so we better keep it going. I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day up here in the San Diego mountains. I'm enjoying a little coffee on the deck and trying to put that last series behind us, that's for sure.
Nice. I mean, I'm sure. I'm glad to hear that. A lot to get to. And I first texted you on Saturday because I saw a picture floating out of you with Arch Manning at Petco Park. We will get to that conversation, but I know that Padres fans right now want to go ahead and jump into just a disastrous weekend for the Padres, right? Getting swept by the Seattle Mariners. Now, they're not a terrible team. This isn't as bad as it was recently, last year when they were swept by the lowly Colorado Rockies. The Mariners are first place. I was going to say in the NFC West. I'm mixing up my sports, right? In the oh my gosh, in the AL West.
American League West, yeah.
American League West, very, very good pitching. But man, the Padres could not do anything right this weekend. A dreadful 0 for 21 in with runners in scoring position. No one looked good. And one thing I want to avoid, which we've done in the past couple of weeks, is talk about, man, they got to get something from Jason Hayward. Yes, they do. They need to get something from Martin Maldonado, at least, yes. Okay, you can argue a little bit on those points, but the thing that was glaring to me was the Padres stars really didn't show up. You had some moments from Tatís, but this offense has been carried so much by Manny Machado and Jackson Merrill and Tatís. So when they struggle simultaneously, when they struggle as a collective group, man, that to me is glaring. What stood out to you about this Padres?
Yeah, I think the storyline that everyone's going to be talking about, and the one that stood out by far, is that 0 for 21 with runners in scoring position, right? I mean, that you cannot win baseball games when you do not hit with runners in scoring position. And simply put, that was the absolute storyline of this entire series against the Mariners, was how bad the Padres were with those runners in scoring position. And honestly, the game that really stood out to me, they were all bad, but the Saturday game, when you had Emerson Hancock, who came in with a 7 ERA, against Nick Pivetta, you had to go and win that one. I think there was a moment, if I remember right, where Manny Machado and Jackson Merrill were up back-to-back with the bases loaded and 1 out, didn't get a run in. Like, those were the situations that really stood out. And honestly, I don't think you look much deeper than that. 0 for 21 in scoring position, I'll tell you 10 times out of 10, you're going to get swept. You just cannot win series when you don't hit with runners in scoring position. I thought the pitching wasn't horrible for the Padres this series. I mean, the bullpen a little bit, but starting pitching was quite all right. It's just it doesn't go any deeper than that. Is how they pitch how they hit with runners in scoring position. And I think we get a tendency in media and as fans to definitely react instantly to a series and go, oh, it's the worst series of the season to this point, and quite frankly, it might have been. But it's also like you have to find a balance between reacting and also going, it does happen in baseball. Like that does take place over the course of a season. Every team is going to go through series like this. It's how you react. It's how you bounce back. And I know that sounds so cliche and it's TV talk, but it is true.
It reminds me of what Manny Machado said when the Padres were like undefeated at home, right? Like you enjoy this moment right now, but it's not always going to be this way. You're going to have hiccups, and the Padres did have their hiccups, and they had. But I think that the thing that's concerning right now is that these games haven't been competitive, and the atmosphere has been flat. And they've now had a shocking, believe it or not, they've had back-to-back losing homestands, right? Losing homestand in the last one, and they went 2-4 at this homestand, and just nothing seemed to go right for them. And it's a little bit different because we spent so much time talking about this on this show, and also in that Padres clubhouse about, man, just wait what it's going to be like when they get all their guys back. All their guys are back right now, and the offense just really they haven't found it. Do I think it's going to always be like this? No. Perhaps they can find some success when they are in Toronto. And by the way, the Atlanta Braves, the Padres are going to face right now, the same team they swept, right, in a 4-game series to open the season. That is a completely different Braves team. They had started 0-7. They are now like over 500. That's a completely different Braves team they're going to face. So this road trip, it's not going to be easier. The quality of opponents is getting tougher. And this is something that we talked about earlier and with AJ Cassavell last week, that it's a good thing for the Padres. They compile these early wins and they're getting health, because the road ahead, especially in June, gets a lot tougher.
Yeah, and to that point, it was great that you came out of the gates as hot as you did, because, of course, last year was the complete opposite, where you had to have this unbelievable second half to get into the postseason. But you gave yourself that grace. You gave yourself that period where if you're going to have a clunker of a series against the Tampa Bay Rays, against the Seattle Mariners, you're now not 7 games back in the NL West all of a sudden. You're not 5 games back of the wild card. You're still right there. You gave yourself that period of grace. And, again, I just think these things – do happen in baseball, where I don't want to sound like Shildt here, but I'm not like overly concerned about this offense. I'm really not. Like, Manny came into this series, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it was like a 14-game hitting streak.
Yes.
Yeah, and didn't have a hit in this series. Is he going to go a lot of series this season without a hit? Probably not. Are they going to go 0 for 21 with runners in scoring position for another series? I doubt it. So I just like – it is a bummer of a series, and I'm not trying to be Mr. Positive, but I think this team has proven time and time again. And one thing I do really enjoy about Mike Shildt is he is so even keel. When they were on that great start to this, you're laughing at me because I know, and I'll let you rebuttal here. But I find him to be so even keel, because when they were on that hot start to the season, it wasn't like, hey, we're out here, we're playing great, we're doing these amazing things. It was, this is the team we are, this is the team we're going to be. And when they're bad, he's the same way. And I like that in a manager. I don't need a guy that's crazy up and down. And then to just really touch on the Atlanta Braves thing you mentioned, that is a crazy different team than the team they saw at the beginning of the year. And in fact, it looks like maybe Ronald Acuna Jr. may be back for that series against the Padres too. So they're going to walk into a tough Atlanta and face a really good team. So I do want to hear your rebuttal to the Mike Shildt that made you laugh, though. What?
No, just because, because yes, I know he's positive, but it's okay to say that things that they're not performing well. It's okay to criticize the offense when they're bad. Do I expect him to go ahead and single out certain players? But I think the one thing that's going to frustrate fans is always tipping your cap to the other starting pitcher, and they were great pitchers too, right? Listen, these aren't Cy Young candidates. They're good pitchers, but you also have elite hitters on your team, and you guys did nothing, man. And do I expect them to say the sky is falling? I'm so concerned. We may need to go ahead and shake up this lineup. And hey, Jason Hayward, go kick rocks, get out of here. No, I don't. But I think it's okay to say when things are bad, you can say they're bad. But yeah, you can still believe in your guys while criticizing, while telling us what we see with our own eyes. The Padres offense was dreadful this weekend, right? So when I asked him about Jackson Merrill, I think this was on Friday, because don't forget, this is Jackson Merrill. I know we're spoiled by him, right? And he comes from the injured list, and he has 5 straight games with 2 hits or more. He was ridiculous. He had the Jackson Merrill game against the Angels, 3-hit performance. Those 3 outstanding catches. And so it's easy to get spoiled, but it's okay to say, yes, Jackson Merrill was struggling. I asked him, what are you seeing as a bats? And he seemed to be offended by that question, kind of stared at me and said, hey, listen, do we expect Jackson Merrill to hit 400 all year? No, we don't. Well, that wasn't my question. My question was, what are you seeing as a bat? So I'm just saying, listen, good on him being optimistic, because his players love it. It's the most important thing. Forget what we think about what Mike Shildt says. His players seem to love the fact that, he doesn't criticize them. He doesn't call them out. And he is the most optimistic person. But it's okay to call a spade when they're not playing well. Just say they're not playing well, because they weren't. And it was a miserable weekend at Petco Park, in my opinion.
I guess I agree with you, but to a sense where I think Mike Shildt lets the leadership in the clubhouse take care of that. I don't think he likes any of that getting outside of the clubhouse, which as a media member, you want that juicy soundbite. You want him to say something like that. Of course we do. But as a manager and as a player, you don't want that getting outside of the clubhouse. This, to me, strikes me as a team that takes care of that stuff internally. And the veteran leadership, the Haywards, the Machados, those people address those things. And I think when it is frustrating to hear a manager go, "Oh yes, we're not worried about it. Yes, this team's just fine." I think it's a good thing from a manager-player perspective. I think, yes, it's a little frustrating from a media fan perspective, but if you want a team to be successful, if you want a team to continue to do what they're doing, you don't need those cracks within the armor, right, from your manager and stuff like that. So that's my opinion on that stuff.
No, I did, by the way, and I did say I wasn't going to talk about Jason Hayward because to me, he barely played this series, right? This series was not about Jason Hayward. Again, to me, the standout about the Padres offense is not getting production from the stars in the lineup, the guys that you expect to go ahead and carry this team. But speaking of Jason Hayward, when I asked about Hayward, and other reporters did on Friday too, about the struggles that you're getting from Jason Hayward and why isn't he in the lineup in this situation, he kept talking about the impact that Jason Hayward has in the clubhouse and the intangibles that he brings that we don't see. That's great. That's great, but come on, you have to get more from that spot. I wonder how much longer they can go with him. The Yuli Gurriel ended rather quickly, rather mercifully, and he is from Atlanta, so I wonder if perhaps some change could come. Maybe you get him to Atlanta. We'll see what happens. But one thing that we did know, because all teams are going to struggle, all players are going to struggle, but you have to get something from that position. And by the way, man, Gavin Sheets' defense in left field, not on him. I haven't seen many plays like that where a player loses his glove trying to make a catch. But Gavin Sheets is not the answer defensively. And we all know that with great teams, man, the defense and the pitching, the biggest keys. Gavin Sheets has been a great surprise offensively, DH at first base, but defensively, man, no, not in left field.
No, he's fine at first. He's definitely serviceable there. He's obviously been a quality DH. I think to kind of wrap up the Jason Hayward conversation, there's always a balance when you have players like that between leadership and production, and you're kind of flirting with this up and down graph of, okay, where is the production and where is the leadership and where do we value both of those things with how the team is performing? For a while, the team was performing really, really well, and you went, okay, we can live with the production because we have the leadership. If the team starts to stumble a little bit, that balance is going to switch, and you're going to go, all right, we need the production over that leadership. So we'll see, like you said, how long they hang on to it. Everything about him, the intangibles are awesome, but you just can't have those black holes that we mentioned a million times.
He's right. He's a player you want to succeed. And one more thing I want to go ahead and bring in the leadership. That would have been fantastic from previous Padres teams where they didn't have the leadership and they were really, really young. But one thing that we've talked about extensively with Mike Shildt, with players in this team, this is a much more mature team. It is a more mature team, right? Conversation about Tatís' maturity. Machado, man, maybe fatherhood has really changed him and how he deals with people. Much more mature Machado. But you have veteran, you have good leadership in that clubhouse. So I don't think that you're like, got to keep Jason Hayward because he's bringing leadership. The one thing that the Padres learned from a lot of their mistakes, and this is a much more mature Padres clubhouse. Okay, since you brought up Mike Shildt, I'm going to make you listen to what Mike Shildt had to say yesterday about the Padres being swept. He's the eternal optimist and what he thinks about this Padres, but their issues in runners in scoring position. And then after this, we're going to get to your photo, the photo that caught me off guard and gave me massive FOMO from Saturday. But here is Mike Shildt just briefly about the Padres being swept by the Mariners and they're 0-for-21 with runners in scoring position.
They threw the ball exceptionally well. They pitch well. Historically, they pitch well. They're doing it. I don't know about the entire season. Obviously, we prepped before it, and we saw it firsthand. The starting pitching was really good. Wu was really good today. All three of their starters were really good. A lot of different pitches located, changed speeds, had a clear plan, executed their pitches. Bullpen was really good. They've got different looks down there. Again, outside of a few innings, they pounded the strike zone, and I think that's a really big part of it. It's two good teams win each other, and we talk about they just got us in a couple areas that typically we get other people in. We were together, we were fighting our tails off. Preparation was good, effort level was good. They just, they threw more quality strikes than we did. Both teams played pretty clean defensively, and they were able to execute a little more consistently on offense. And, like I said, some combination ace of, their ability to make pitches in big spots. But that being said, we do have higher expectations with when we get opportunities to deliver more than we did this series, and we will, and we have, and we will, and but tip of the hat, and we'll figure out how to get back on it.
Okay, two things really, really quick. Wow, he was critical. He said we do have higher expectations, but then he tipped his hat. All right, here's a little bit more from Shildt.
So those opportunities, do you just kind of chalk up like that as being part of baseball? Is there anything that needs to change in those runners and scoring?
No, I mean, listen, this is one of those things where, the game tests you. It actually is paints even clearer a picture of when we're going well, which is a lot of the time what we do to help us win baseball games. And we've done that a lot. And we're going to do it again. It also proves conversely when you get into, face a club that's well-rounded in a lot of different areas like that club is. That's a good team over there. They played really well. They played good baseball the whole weekend. But that's what, series are, figuring out the nuances of those series and where those edges are. And, we've won a lot of series. We're going to continue to win series, but just crystallizes like, you got to throw strikes. You got to execute with quality strikes. And when you get your opportunities against especially, teams that have more consistent pitching, and way easier said than done. I'm not sitting here saying it's easy, but we can't alibi it either. We got to figure out a way to continue to take those good at bats, and sometimes we still do that, and you don't get rewarded. And a couple of times that happened in this series too. So it's a combination of things. But there's no concern on my part at all. We'll just get back to playing our game. We know what that looks like, and we'll be ready on Tuesday.
Okay, so that was Mike Shildt. I'm not going to alibi it. When anytime that Mike Shildt brings up the alibi reference, that's when things have gotten really bad for the Padres.
I think here's what I would say about Mike too, though, is I think there's a lot of fairness in what he says. I do think on the good side of things, when he's talking about all the positive things, he does bring up good things in a sense of like what he's saying. It's up to the fans and the media to piece together the parts he won't say, but we know what we've seen with the eye test, right? What we're doing that are the negative parts of it. And then you kind of see the full puzzle. The big picture is like, listen to what this man that's forgotten more baseball than we will ever know say on the positive side, and then piece together the stuff that he won't say to get your full picture. That's at least the way I see it when I listen to him talk.
Okay, take me back to Saturday night. What was I doing on Saturday? I was doing errands with my nephew, right? But there's a picture that came across on the social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, that gave me complete FOMO, where I was like using all my willpower to not race to Petco Park. It's a picture of you, and that is Archie. That's Arch Manning, not Archie Manning. That's Arch Manning, right? So he is Cooper's kid.
He's Cooper's son and Eli and Peyton's nephew.
What was he doing at Petco Park?
It's funny. I'll kind of lay out the whole story here because Dennis Lynn and Sammy Lev and I were talking down kind of at the end of the dugout. And you know how they have, well, for those that don't know, have people come down in these little corrals. You can see the blue rope pregame to watch batting practice and the players and all that stuff. And Dennis and Sammy and I are talking. And I look over, and it took me like a solid 20 seconds because of the context to piece together who it was. I'm like, I know this person. I've seen this person. Who is it? And then he smiled, and I was like, oh, shoot, that's Arch Manning. And I go, I got to go get a picture with Arch. Like, that's so cool. I got to figure out why he's here, what he's doing in Padres gear. So then I went up to him. I actually had Dennis take the picture, so he probably hates me for it. But I went up to Arch, and I go, hey, Arch, I'm Jake. Welcome to San Diego. Can I get a photo? And then we had a short conversation, and I try and be really careful. Oh, there you go. I try and be really careful with how I judge people, especially in the limelight in a short period of time, right? Because it's not a true fair assessment. But I got nothing but great things to say about him. He was really nice. He asked me about me and where I was from, and essentially to get to the question that everyone wants to know, I said, so what's the tie here? Why are you at a Padres game?
Yeah.
And he just said, well, me and the boys had never been to San Diego, so we took a boys trip out here. And one thing led to another, and now we're down here on the field. I have a feeling that I kind of tongue-in-cheek put out there that certified Padres fan Arch Manning, right? I have a feeling that the Padres, of course, gave him some gear
I was going to ask you that.
for this exact situation, so people would see him in Padres gear and talk about it. Arch Manning was just at a Padres game. That simple as that. He wanted to come see San Diego, and really, really nice young man. And it became one of those situations where I'm instantly rooting for him.
Okay.
Because of the way he treated me. So yeah, I had nothing but good things to say about him.
Okay, so we don't know if he's a Padres fan, like a Tatís fan or Machado fan, or I was wondering too, because there are a lot of like quarterback coaches that would train in San Diego. Back in the day, now Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell used to help train quarterbacks out here. I think Jordan Palmer trains young quarterbacks out in San Diego. A lot of guys come out here, right? So I wasn't sure if Arch was here to go ahead and train with some quarterback gurus, but then again, he can always go in the Manning Passing Academy if he wants any helps. I think he has a couple uncles that can help him in the quarterback department.
I think they charge him double to get into the Manning camp, the Peyton and Eli Manning camp. No, in our short conversation, he didn't mention anything like that. He said he was just out here for a trip with the guys. So,
okay.
And I don't know how much he wants to divulge to some random dude that just walked up to him, right?
Dude, he is so lucky I wasn't there. That's all I'm gonna say. My line of questioning would have been, now did the Padres show him on a jumbo board on the video board?
Not when I was at the game. They didn't show much that I noticed.
Because he would have gotten booed.
And that was what
he would have gotten booed if they had shown him. I'm telling you.
That is what I wasn't prepared for. I just saw a guy that I was like, oh, cool. I kind of want to have a conversation with him. I didn't think where it was going to go when I posted that photo, of course. Yep. And instantly, everyone in San Diego is not a fan of the Mannings because of Eli. But let's be honest about that whole situation. Eli did the right thing, right? I mean. Yep. Look how this all worked out. He went and won 2 Super Bowls and didn't have to play. No, okay. All right, let's hear it. I know just
really quick. No one cares about Eli Manning winning 2 Super Bowls, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you this, okay? Because I saw the comments I saw the hatred and the vitriol that came towards Eli, all the Mannings after that picture was posted. There was never a single time during the entire Phillip Rivers time when he was here in San Diego where I thought, man, I wish the Chargers had Eli Manning. My entire thought was, man, this worked out great. Good for him. Go win your Super Bowls. But Phillip Rivers was the perfect quarterback for San Diego, and he was beloved. But I'll tell you this, because this is something I posted when Dean Spanos left. You know what? That they were right. That the Mannings were all right to not want to play. It wasn't San Diego. Their issue wasn't with San Diego. Their issue was with the organization and the people who are running that place. So you know what? He was right. He didn't want Archie, the grandfather, did not want his kids to play for that organization. Maybe he knew something about Dean.
I think everything you just said was correct. To be honest, I'm not always trying to fully agree, but because it makes for bad TV. But it's true.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Was 100% correct. I think people need to grow up a little bit and not hold Arch in that light of anything that he had nothing to do with. He's a very nice dude. I think it worked out both for both sides, right? The Chargers got their generational possible Hall of Fame quarterback, and the Giants got their Super Bowls.
Blah blah blah. This is not where I was intending to go with today's conversation. Talking about just
you can't bring up Arch Manning.
I can't help it. 2 bitter topics. Okay. Listen, I spent a lot of time Friday asking stupid questions because I had to. It was about the Vedder Cup. Again, so we can go ahead and do this. The Vedder Cup is supposed to be a joke, guys. Padres fans were so angry with the whole Vedder Cup thing. But again, that happened because 2 board sports writers, Padres beat reporters, Corey Brock, Dan Hayes, they were having fun. It was so stupid. I mean, baseball wanted rivalry weekend, right? Dodgers and Angels have their rivalry, the A's and the Giants, Yankees and Mets. That was kind of fun. I was watching that yesterday. Man, Soto got a beating by the Yankees fans. But this was supposed to be fun. So there is no rivalry. We know this. The players know that. Later on to end this show, I'm going to go ahead and play the conversations with Jackson Merrill and Gavin Sheets and who else did I ask? Jake Cronenworth. These guys nobody could name a Pearl Jam song. It's funny. It is a funny thing, but everything about it kind of sucked, and this is why, right? there's an energy that comes at Petco Park when you have the normal music that you hear. They do a great job with the in-game entertainment, but it was like Pearl Jam songs, and it was kind of depressing. Some of those songs were depressing to listen to. It was nonstop Pearl Jam. It didn't feel like Petco Park because it didn't sound like Petco Park. Also on Friday, not wearing their City Connects, which also dampened the festivities. So we're going to go ahead and blame everything. These are the 3 reasons why the Padres got swept. Arch Manning, clearly number 1, the Manning curse. Number 2, the Pearl Jam music, and number 3, they were not wearing their City Connects, right? So that's what we're going to go ahead and say. Go ahead, Jake.
Let's do that. The 0 for 21 with runners in scoring position had nothing to do with it. It definitely had to do with Arch, Pearl Jam, and the City Connects. I don't know why we live in a world where there's 2 things I want to add to this, because I don't know why we live in a world where people just can't like take things for what they are. It's fun. It's a little bit. It's a joke. Have it. It's fine. It doesn't need to be this massive thing. It's clearly all just kind of sarcasm and fun. You know, I use it a lot, but tongue-in-cheek kind of style. And then the other thing I've learned in my career in TV, which is dangerous because I come from a large Italian family where sarcasm is our first language. English is our second. Okay. And I use sarcasm nonstop. And I assume everybody understands sarcasm. No. Not true, especially not true live on television half the time. So I think you have to take the Vedder Cup with a little bit of that sarcasm to it, right? But not everyone speaks sarcasm as a first language, as most of us Italians do, and it's gotten me in trouble more than enough times that I need to take credit for.
Sorry, hopefully I'm not having these Wi-Fi issues. Yes, it was a lot of fun, but when you get swept, people are done. Everyone's over it. All right, we're talking to Jake Garegnani from CBS Sports. We're brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place, not CBS Sports, but local CBS 8. Jake, do you guys have the game this Saturday in Atlanta?
No, our next one is the 31st. So I believe it's the Pirates series. We have not until the 31st, so we got a little bit of time off. But you can always tune in to CBS 8. Just because we don't have the game doesn't mean we're not running crazy amounts of highlights. We cover the Padres, obviously, non-stop at CBS 8. So, not our next game is the 31st.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. I know you have to go ahead and go. For all of you guys sticking around, I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit from Fernando Tatís, or actually from Jackson Merrill, who showed me. I asked him about his hand being wrapped, and he was good enough to go ahead and put his hand right in front of my camera so I can get a good shot of his blister. So we'll play a little bit from Jackson Merrill. It's different to see him struggle, but in true Jackson Merrill fashion, he knows how to deal with it. He knows how to address it, but it's unique to watch him go through these struggles. It's been a lot for this kid since the hamstring injury, right? He comes back, hair's on fire, food poisoning, or he has some stomach bug, and now he's dealing with a blister right in the middle of his hand. But he did say it wasn't hampering him, offensively, but if it were, I don't know that I would expect Jackson Merrill to make any excuses about his small struggles. So we'll see what happens. Okay. I think Yu Darvish might be back this week. Maybe we'll find out. Did you get any sense from Mike Shildt on Saturday?
We asked him on Saturday. He didn't have any update on you. Just said that he was continuing to do his rehab. I mean, he looked great. I think when you got a guy who's pitched as much as you has in the big leagues, he knows when he's ready, and he'll be ready to go. And it seems like he's very close. We did talk real quick update before I do leave on you to Matt Waldron, who was in the clubhouse for the time. Saw him. He came in Saturday. And we got a lot of great sound from him. He just talked about how he never knew how intense an oblique injury could be. And that it was debilitating early. He could barely move. He could barely do anything. But it was great to see Matty in the clubhouse. And he's so much fun to watch pitch, obviously. So I'm really looking forward to getting back. He threw, I think, a 2-inning bullpen, and he's going to start to begin his rehab. So he's still a little ways away, but it was nice to see him kind of get going. I did ask him about the Vedder Cup too, and he said he's a Pearl Jam fan, but had no clue what the Vedder Cup was. So there's your update on Matt Waldron.
So we did find someone who's a Pearl Jam fan, because every single Padre I talked to had just blank look. They'd rather talk about anything else but Pearl Jam. No one had a clue, including the manager, Mike Shildt. So anyways, there you go.
Do you know who else is a Pearl Jam fan, Marty?
What's
your
that?
fan might not know who it is, but Craig Huner, the head PR person for the San Diego Padres, massive Pearl Jam fan. Him and I got talking about Pearl Jam.
He used to live in Washington.
Yeah, he's a big fan, and he was kind of in those perfect years for when Pearl Jam came up. So Craig Huner, big Pearl Jam fan.
All right, Jake Garegnani, you're the man. Thank you so much for joining me. I always appreciate you.
Always, Marty. Thank you very much for everything, and great journalism on the Jackson Merrill.
Oh, yeah.
Wondering, and that is why you're the best at it.
That's it. No one else will show you painful blisters like Marty Caswell here on Marty Time
Much love,
TV.
Marty. Much love. Take care.
Thanks, Jake. Take care. All right, that was Jake Garegnani from local CBS. They have these free games on Saturdays on CBS that you can watch for those of you who do not subscribe to either Spectrum or Padres TV. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take you back inside the Padres clubhouse. Here's a little bit from Jackson Merrill on being swept by the Mariners and also his the blister on his hand. Jackson Merrill from last night.
A lot of opportunities this series, didn't catch them in. What do you kind of make of the way that went?
That's what I said. I said I felt like we got to the spots we needed to be in, and we just didn't capitalize. Which is, again, baseball, because they got arms in the pen coming out. You know, everybody in that pen is dirty. It's our job to get shorter and complete the goal of getting runs across the board, but we didn't do that, and that's baseball. That stuff happens sometimes. So we just got to flush it, put it behind us, take this off day, and then go to a new series and dominate.
How much of this series do you think was good pitching by them versus maybe you guys getting a little bit out of your approach?
It's always a combo. You know, I think when good pitching starts to happen, you start to try to do a little more, and then stuff like that can happen. But, you know, in all honesty, I don't think we had any meetings or anything where we were like, try to hit homers or anything like that. Like, our approach was there the whole time. We just couldn't execute, and that's part of the game.
Do you have your hand wrapped? Anything going on with your...
Yeah, I just got a blister. Yeah, nasty blister. Yeah, I'm good.
Affecting you at all?
No. It's just big. It's just kind of annoying.
At the plate right now, like you're going to go through ups and downs. What do you make of where you are?
That's baseball, like I said. You know, it's baseball. Just stuff happens. Obviously, it's frustrating. Like, pisses me off for sure. You know, I love to hit. Like I said it before, I'm not a walker. I'm a hitter, so I'm not hitting. It's just like it's a little tough, but you know, there's plenty of season left. You just got to relax, take it one day at a time.
Do you know why the blister developed?
Sorry?
Do you know why the blister developed?
I can hear you.
Do you know how you got the blister and why you got the blister?
Oh.
My strengths.
I think just swinging. It kind of just appeared over time. Or just kind of like spawned there, and I was like, okay, got to tape it up. Yep. Thanks, guys.
You're only in your second year. Are you already at the point with a series like this from a team perspective, you can just move on from it and not let it bum you out too much? Just, it's going to happen. You move on.
Yeah. We're going to Toronto. Never been to Toronto. Girlfriend's going to be there. Other family's going to be there. So flush it. Forget about it. Not taking that into outside life. Come back on Tuesday. Go get after it.
So that was Jackson Merrill. It's just baseball as usual, having the right attitude on absolutely everything. So good day for an off day. Padres can hopefully regroup in Toronto. Mike Shildt yesterday did not give the pitching matchups for this series. So we'll see what happens and hopefully an update soon on Yu Darvish, who is going to be on this trip. All right. We spent so much time here at Petco Park talking about the Vedder Cup. To go ahead and close today's show, I just want to go ahead and just show you my my interviews with some of the Padres players on the Vedder Cup. I know people don't want to hear about it now because the Padres got swept, but again, no one in Major League Baseball or the Padres thinks there's a rivalry with the Mariners, but it was rivalry weekend, and it was part of just the matchup. So you just make it a little bit fun, add Pearl Jam, the Vedder Cup to it. But this is the reaction from the Padres players over the weekend.
Vedder Cup, whatever. It's baseball.
When it comes to the biggest rivalries in sports, not just in baseball and sports, where does Padres and Mariners rank?
I feel like, I don't know. Like almost Padres. Dodgers is a little more than this, but
I mean, Eddie Vedder designed the trophy. You guys the winner gets a trophy.
yeah, I guess. I don't know. I have no idea. And Pearl Jam, I don't even know a song by Pearl Jam, so I can't help you there.
Okay. Now, I feel obligated to ask you this question. When it comes to rivalries in sports and then in baseball, where does the Vedder Cup now rank with like Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, Giants?
I'm not sure. I didn't even know this was a rivalry until I got here. So, happy to be a part of it for sure. But, I think when you look at Yankees, Red Sox, and some of those rivalries, those are a little bit more profound.
Pearl Jam fan?
I listen to them a little bit. I wouldn't say I'm a huge Pearl Jam guy, though.
So, like, what
song maybe would you go to?
I'm the wrong guy for these questions. I'm the wrong guy for these questions.
How do I feel about playing for the Vedder Cup?
It's another game, another series at home.
When you get the fans kind of getting into something like this, do you pay attention to that at all? Maybe think, that's kind of cute. I mean, obviously it doesn't change the way that you play the game, but you kind of have a little bit of extra vibe around the ballpark.
I guess. Like I said, it's another home weekend series that we're going out to win.
But I never really thought of it as a huge rivalry before I got to the Padres.
Okay, what is adding the Vedder Cup? You guys get a trophy. The winner of this gets a trophy, right? That's a pretty big deal. You can't lose the very first year of the Vedder Cup. That'd be humiliating, wouldn't it?
I totally agree. I actually found out about the trophy today, and it was our bullpen catcher, Peter Somerville, said, we're playing for something, so I need your A game on Sunday. So I said, do you expect me not to give my A game on other days? But, if there's a trophy involved, we're going after it.
I expect him. Mike Shildt is, he can be very passionate. You expect him to give a passionate pregame speech on the Vedder Cup?
I don't think so. I think that he expects us to come with a high energy at every game, whether it's the World Series or a Vedder Cup. We're gonna attack it with the same mentality.
Okay, it's not often that I walk in that clubhouse asking questions and come away completely disappointed. So far, there isn't a single Padres player or your manager that can name one Pearl Jam song. I believe I found the right person for this task.
You did not find the right person for this task. You're over for the day because I have no idea.
Okay, so that was Jackson Merrill, Jake Cronenworth, Gavin Sheets, and Michael King on the Vedder Cup. Okay, guys, we're done. We're putting this behind us. I promise we will never mention this again in 2025 because the Padres have lost it. I know there's 3 more games to go, but they don't have the tiebreakers on exit velocity and the run differential. So there you go. All right, so the pitching matchups for Toronto looks like Dylan Cease, Randy Vasquez, and Steven Kolek. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Marty Caswell here on Marty Time TV. I appreciate you. If you would like to watch any more of the conversations from yesterday or from this weekend with Mike Shildt and Tatís and Manny Machado and Jackson Merrill and Michael King, you can find it here on Marty Time TV. If you have any questions, feel free to send them my way. We'll try to address them on the show. I'm at Marty Caswell 619 on the Twitter. Wait, is that right? No, I'm not. I'm at Marty Caswell on Twitter, at Marty Caswell 619 on Instagram. It's going to be a beautiful week, blue skies, warm weather, and school's almost out. So let's enjoy it, guys. Thank you very much. If you want to feel just a little bit better, Padres fans, the Dodgers were swept at home by the Angels, first time in 15 years in that heated rivalry in the Freeway Series. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow.
That's you're talking way too much, bro. I try to keep it simple. If I do that, buddy, I'm going to slump real quick. Just keep it simple. See ball, hit ball, man. That's as easy as you can make it.